To say that property is divided carefully sounds a little flippant, but I cannot underemphasize this given the following circumstances. First of all, not all property is equal. $100,000 in a retirement account is not equal to $100,000 in a $400,000 home, because there are tax consequences for the retirement account, but there may very well not be any tax consequences to that equity in the house. Secondly, how is the equity encumbered? With retirement accounts, you generally can't access it without some consequences of both the taxes and perhaps early withdrawal period. If, in the years to come, all of a sudden you need to tap that versus money that's just in a savings account. Further, there's considerations of how these assets are encumbered. Are they secured loans, be it the secured mortgage, car loan, boat loan, some of these other considerations that make that more complicated, not just for the sake of selling it and paying it off and covering the loan, but also just whoever's going to take that is going to be obliged to continue to pay on that. And then we're getting into issues of cash flow and living expenses. And ultimately what we do in how we handle all this is we go about it in a very organized, systemic way where we're going to put it all onto a certain spreadsheet that we've crafted that takes into account these different considerations and systematically addresses all of this from the standpoint of making sure to boil it down to when we're talking about, all right, well, if they get all these assets and our client gets all these other assets, what's the equalizer at the end? Is there an equalizer needed, and how do we handle that? And should we be doing two different asset divisions, one for all the assets that haven't been taxed yet, let alone all the ones that have already, are basically post-tax equity. And then we also have to deal with all the things that sometimes are meaningful, but don't actually have a value to them, such as, longtime season ticket owner rights and licensors, or certain life insurance policies, or even some of the assets and accounts that you have for your children that's not fairly like an award to wife or husband because it's for the children, but we still have to figure out how that's going to get managed and awarded because it is technically an asset of the marriage.